I want to put some light and awareness on this situation and, provide more evidence and proof on just how cowardly and punctified these racist white supremacists truly are at the end of the day. And this is just one of the many more reasons as to why we need that black hate crimes bill put into law quick, fast, and in a hurry. You know what I mean? Because here we have it, an FBA brother who was, out early morning waiting for his ride to work, for his supervisor to pick him up, becomes the victim of a race-based shooting at the hands of a no good racist white supremacist. And the racist white supremacist, while he was shooting at our FBA brother, yeah, run, boy, run, which is a bunch of nonsense, and this was all done because of the color of our brother's skin. You know what I mean? And when they asked the racist white supremacist why he done this, he said he done it because our brother was black. I'm just happy that our brother, God willing, wasn't hurt, harmed, or injured in this whole ordeal. You know what I mean? Now, the racist white supremacist is only being charged with assault and battery, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, and a local hate crimes violation. And that local hate crimes violation is weak, and it don't, carry no kind of, penalty. It only carries about 30 days in jail. And, South Carolina is one of, only one of two, places in the whole United States of America to not have a statewide hate crimes bill. You know what I mean? And this is why we need that black hate crimes bill put on the law quick, fast, and in a hurry. It's more specific. It'll protect and insulate our people against this race-based targeting. You know what I mean? And it'll truly hold them racist white supremacists accountable. And like I said, when the racist white supremacist was asked why he done this, he said he done it because of the color of our brother's skin and wanted to pump fear and intimidation into our brother's heart. And that's a bunch of nonsense, you know what I mean? So I got the audio and the video of, this cowardly racist white supremacist targeting our brother when he was out minding his own business, just waiting for, his supervisor to pick him up and take him to work so he could provide for his family. And we're going to walk through and talk about this nonsense how we normally do, family. Fair use.
Good Thursday morning, and thank you so much for joining us on WLTX Plus. I'm Whitney Sullivan. In just a few minutes, we'll hear for the first time from the victim of a hate crime ordinance or a hate crime that took place in Richland County. That press conference happening right now. Let's take you live to it.
Targeting as an African-American man on July 17th, and he's never spoken to the media or press before, but he's speaking today. He was motivated to speak based on some recent comments about there being no need for a hate crime, statewide hate crime bill here in South Carolina. And as a survivor and somebody who went through what he went through, he wanted to speak. And it wasn't easy for him to come to this conclusion because he was worried about his own safety.
Something else I wanted to add, family. While we know that the Democrats and the Republicans are both wings off the same bird, regarding racism, white supremacy, and practicing anti-black racism, I think that, these racist white supremacists feel a little bit more powerful and emboldened under Trump. You know what I mean? They get a little bit of a false sense of courage to where as though, they want to get out here and act upon things, you know what I mean, and play around with us FBAs if you want. You're going to learn quick, fast, and in a hurry that there ain't it, you know what I mean? But let's continue.
Being targeted by people who are more sympathetic to the accused than they are somebody in his shoes who went through what he went through. We have local ordinances that have hate crime bills like the City of Columbia. Richland County has one. Irma's working on one. There are others, but there's nothing statewide. And also there's a federal hate crime bill that helps or statute that helps, but the state of South Carolina.
And it's very telling that South Carolina don't got a statewide hate crimes bill. You know what I mean? They only got, something to where though they could charge for a local violation, like I said, and that local violation of a hate crime only carries about 30 days in jail. This is why we need something more specific put on the law. That black hate crime bill, this will protect and insulate our people against these racist white supremacists that want to get out here and display anti-black racism.
Clients ignored it, but Mr. McKenzie is going to talk about what he went through. I'll briefly will interject from there. We'll take some questions towards the end, but just be mindful there is still some active investigation that we believe. There may be a federal indictment possibly of the accused, but we don't know where that's going to go. That was reported in the state paper this morning. So I'll let Mr. McKenzie go ahead and tell the story from here.
Hello, my name is Jarvis McKenzie. I'm a resident of the Spring Valley community, a father, a hard-working man, and I also has a past. And on July the 17th, I was targeted, and I feel that it will forever change my life. and my family's on. I was shot at standing, waiting to go to work at 5:30 in the morning, and I feel that there's something should be done with the bill.
And I'm gonna help lead him through this. So there was some reports saying that he was jogging. Mr. McKenzie gets up super early every morning to go to work. He's been living in the Spring Valley community for a couple years. He gets up every morning to wake up and wait for his supervisor to take him to work. That morning, that's what he was doing. He was waiting. And that's when he saw the shooter, who stopped his car, looked him dead into the eyes. They never met each other before. There was no exchange of words at all. Mr. McKenzie just feeling with his sixth sense, essentially, something was going to happen. And that's when he takes off and starts.
And family, I encourage all foundational Black Americans to protect you and yours by any and all means necessary. Get hand-to-hand combat training, get weapons training, firearms training, to ensure that, when these white supremacists, racist white supremacists, feel emboldened, to try to do something up against an FBA, that we hold their ass to the fire. They learn that this won't be tolerated. You know what I mean? And, protect you and your family, because this racist white supremacist system that we under, more often than not, when these white supremacists do something, regarding Black folks, they try to sweep it under the rug or give them some, janky charges to where though it don't hold no real true jail time, and that's a bunch of nonsense. But let's continue.
Running, and he's shot at, and he's a man of few words. And one thing he didn't mention, after he's shot at, he still goes to work that morning. He finishes his whole day. He leaves directly to go to work. His fiance is the one who called law enforcement. He finished working that day.
Shows you the character of that brother. This brother's, racially target, a race-based shooting done at the hands of a no good, cowardly white supremacist. And the brother still goes to work, to make sure that he provides for him and his family. Shows you how, selfless at the end of the day that this brother is. He puts the needs of his family before himself. You know what I mean? Because this, in all actuality, you could tell that it got our brother traumatized, truth be told.
Despite the traumatic experience that he had, it has impacted him. If you could talk a little bit more about how you felt when it happened and when you ran, that would be good for the public to know.
Yeah, when it happened, I was scared. You know what I'm saying? Never had no problems with nobody in the community until then. So, it changes me from here moving forward. It changed me.
After he was
And I don't know if I mentioned this, family, but this race-based shooting done at the hands of that no good, cowardly, racist white supremacist, it happened in Richland, South Carolina. You know what I mean? And Richland don't got South Carolina, my fault. South Carolina don't got no statewide hate crimes bill. They only got something, where though they could put local hate crimes charges, and that don't hold no, real penalties or punishment. But let's continue.
Shot at, there's a brick wall nearby. He hides behind the brick wall the entire time. He calls his fiance. He calls his supervisor to say he's to still go to work. And supervisor comes and picks him up. He leaves from behind the brick wall to make sure the shooter didn't circle back to shoot at him again. And then he gets in the vehicle, goes to work. He cooperates with law enforcement when they're investigating it. When he was shot at, there were some words said, "Run, boy, run." From what we know, the accused, when he was interrogated by law enforcement, he said that he was shot at, Mr. McKenzie, because of his race, him being a Black man. And today
Yeah, I told y'all, family, that's a bunch of nonsense. That racist white supremacist, when asked, why he done this, he said, like I said before, he done this to pump fear and intimidation into our brother's heart. He done it because he was Black, But in closing, I'm just glad that our brother, made it out of, that situation, unscathed, and put some, statewide hate crimes charges on that racist white supremacist degenerate to ensure he gets the max. Just my thoughts on the matter. But if you ask me, he shouldn't be, even left out of jail. They should throw him up under the jail. Peace.